Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another game movie to planetary I Spy going on here, back on Mars. Back to Sol 1429. Now I found a lot of stuff on this ridgeline here, on this particular slope, and I keep coming back to it and I keep finding more, so I'll put a link to it here for you so you can check it out. There's loads and loads of stuff along this ridgeline. Loads and loads of just rock fragments, but also some real anomalies in here. There are skulls, there are building blocks, there are all sorts of little things that look like lizards and all sorts of crazy little things. Okay, so check it out. It's well worth looking at. This really is one of my favourites, and I keep coming back to it. And every time I come back to it, I find something else that looks very interesting. And this is one such thing. I've got the raw image here from the NASA JPL website here, Sol 1429, and we have this area full of, you've got this layers of shale and clay sediments here that have solidified. A rather strange object here, but if you look up here, you have this thing. Okay, now this is quite small. I would say it's probably only a few inches long. I'll show you it in the folder I've got here, because obviously I've already done some enhancements to save time, and I'll show you it in sequence so you can see it from the raw clip. Okay, that's just a clip of the image, and we have this thing here which looks to me like a skull of a dog or something similar, perhaps a very small bear, but probably a small dog. Not a huge dog. If this is only a few inches, which it probably is, 3 or 4 inches, then the dog would probably be only about a foot or so long, maybe a bit longer. So who knows? I don't know what species this is. It looks very similar to some we have down here, and when I show you the comparisons you will see what I mean. So here's a close-up. We have here, this is the nose, the snout. The teeth are missing, but you can just about make out where the teeth are here when you enhance it. This is the eye socket here, which is, unfortunately is full of sediment here. It's got some kind of clays and stuff and crap in there that's solidified. So we're not seeing the eye socket in its full kind of shape there. You can kind of make it out even in the raw image, okay? But this is the bit to look at. The nose area, you can see part of the other eye socket there. This is the nose. And there would be long canine teeth here, but they're not there. They've broken off. And some of these fragments around here may well be teeth. Who's to say? And also there's this weird thing over here which looks kind of like a foot. Perhaps a carved foot that's broken off with a weird sort of eye shape in it. I don't know what that is. It looks interesting, but I really don't know what it is. So I'm just going to flick through these. Here's the first enhancement. That's just been colour corrected, but using fade correction and a bit of contrast, okay? That's all that is. And we have, you'll see the teeth now, but there's no large canine sticking down. So either it didn't have canines or it's broken off. I'd imagine it's broken. And the lower jaw was obviously missing and may well be buried here, or perhaps even lying right on the surface. Okay? But now you can see some detail here, okay? You can see the shape of the skull. Now, when I show you the comparison here, it makes it even more obvious. You've got a very, very similar looking front of the snout here. Well, this is slightly more angular, and you can see where you can imagine this if it had canine teeth coming down to about here. Okay, but they seem to have gone, fallen out or broken off. It's got a very, very similar shape to it here, going up over the forehead of the skull. Okay, just here, very similar shape. But the eye, like I said, looks either it's very small and there's just this big, the eye socket, or, like I said, it's filled full of crap and that's solidified in the eye socket, in the orbit there, and has blocked it up. Okay, so there we go. What else can I say? It looks like a dog. It probably is a dog. I have found other things that look like dogs, but some of them look carved, some of them look kind of weird, some of them are probably just pareidolia. Who's to say? But when you look up close, this really does match very well. you've got this shape here coming round. You've got a sort of highlighted part here. You've got a highlight up here, which corresponds with this, okay? And you've even got a sort of inner part and a split here, where we have a sort of split just here on the next to the nasal cavity there, okay? So you see that line going there. You've got it here as well, which says to me that this is probably a skull. That sort of detail is too specific for it to be random. And of course you've got teeth, okay? Although not very pronounced. It's not a great quality image, but it's not terrible, okay? So let's have a look at some of the other clips I've got here. I've done a sort of closer one here, and I've done it in negative. Now you can see that where the nose is, you can see the actual shape of that is very similar to this. You've got a kind of sort of almost triangular shape to it here, where it kind of, you could kind of draw a triangle between the two teeth here, up to this point here, okay? See the shape there? And we've got the similar sort of thing here, okay? So yeah, it's not the same, of course, because this is on Mars. And I couldn't tell you what sort of breed of dog it is. I would imagine it's quite small. That's all I can tell you, really. I really don't know. I'm just making comparisons here. Here's another enhancement. And there's this weird thing here which looks like a foot to me. Okay? I don't know what this is. It seems to have like a toe here and some smaller toes. Could it be a shoe? I have found other shoes. I mean, it does look like rock, but it could well be a carved part of a statue that's broken off at the ankle here. Okay? We have found lots of statues in this area, and I actually have found carved feet that have broken off statues as well. Check my videos for that. I'll leave a link for that at the end of the video, actually, so you can watch it. So I don't really know what this is. It looked weird anyway. It looked kind of interesting. I don't know. It's just odd. It seems to have toe-like structures to it here, like a big toe and smaller toes. Don't really know. Answers on the postcard, as usual, guys. Is it something else? What is this weird eye-shaped thing in it? I mean, that's very odd. But like I said, there's so many things in this area. I'll leave you a link to the gig pan, actually, because you've really got to check it out. I mean, you could spend hours looking at this, and I have, and I'm sure there's still way more things to find. I mean, some of these blocks here are blatantly lumps of concrete and stuff, you know. They're not just random rocks. And there's all sorts of little things, including the tiny lizard I found recently, which is up here somewhere along this line here. So there's and some of these things are really tiny, okay? And the ones to look for, the images to look for in this set are the ones where you've got lots of debris in the foreground, okay? Like these here. Lots of little things to look at, okay? So that was cool. And just in case you think there are no dogs on Mars, there was this video I put up a while back. I don't actually think it's a dog. I think it's probably just pareidolia, this one. I'll show you a bit of it anyway, because it hasn't had a great deal of views. It's called Little Mars Dog, okay? Structure as eyes, nose and mouth. Now, it's just one of those things where it's probably a rock that just happens to look like something from a certain angle. And there's plenty of rocks like that on Mars. But it does seem to have two eyes, a little black nose and a mouth, and a kind of ears sticking out, okay? Which I thought was really quite odd and quite funny, actually. And this is raw. I haven't done anything to this. This is as it looks in the Gigapan, which has only been colour balanced, okay? It hasn't been mucked around with, okay? And you can see two eyes, little black nose, and a smiling mouth with cheeks here. This is the body, the back here. Could it be a carving? Could it be a carving? Let's show the enhancements. It does get a little bit more clear as it plays through. Come on. It will enhance now. And really all I did was play around with the contrast, okay? As you can see. And now you can see the nose, mouth with what look like little teeth as well. Two dark eyes. A head and a kind of ear kind of hanging down here. And the body at the back. So, is that a carving? Could it be a petrified dog? Could it have been sat there when Mars was destroyed by a cataclysm and just froze there and turned into stone, literally, you know, like some of the things we see at Pompeii in Italy, where people and their pets were preserved in volcanic ash and literally turned to stone. Okay, so there we go. There's a close-up. I thought that was pretty cool, but no one really liked it, and I can see why. It looks kind of stupid, really. But you know, you have to look at everything on Mars. You cannot discriminate and discriminate between one species and another, or one type of building and another. You have to look at everything. You have to look at the ships, the buildings, the buried structures, the building blocks, every type of creature, whether it be a lizard or a snake or a dog or whatever. You know, they seem to have had all manner of creatures there, and many of them look similar to ours, but not the same. They look a lot smaller, and they have different morphology, facial morphology, as do the actual Martians themselves. Okay, so I will add some examples of these other things that I'm talking about at the end of the video, so you can click on the links at the end of the video and go straight to them. Okay, let's have another quick look at that. Let me show you the other comparison here. I mean, look at this one's quite different, and it has a sort of longer snout to it here, and it's more kind of sloping back. I mean, there are thousands of types of dogs on Earth. Obviously, domesticated animals have been interbred and everything else. But it could well be a small bear, because bears do have similar morphology to dogs. They're just more robust. Here's a bear skull, and the eye socket is smaller in comparison to the overall size. You've got a much larger jaw, much more robust teeth, and bone structure here, but they are related, and dogs and bears, a large dog skull can look a bit like a small bear skull. So I do have a book here right in front of me about animal skulls, and they do look remarkably similar, and so do seals and sea lions. They're all part of the same family and have very similar teeth and quite similar bone structures. So this may not be a dog. I'm calling it a dog because it looks like one. And I did do a thing here where I blacked out the eye just to show what it might look like if all that stuff wasn't stuck in the eye socket. Okay, just to let you see that. Okay, it doesn't look brilliant, I know, because we're probably a bit too close to it, but these things tend to look better if you see them a bit smaller, and they don't pixelate so much. So thanks for watching, everybody. Are there dogs on Mars? Were there dogs on Mars? There seem to have been all manner of creatures there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.